What my portion is that we get to do out of our 28 national urban search and rescue task forces is participate with the military. So right now we have 17 personnel from Utah Task Force 1 based out of Salt Lake City. We have 5 personnel based out of Nevada Task Force 1, and with 5 canine teams. And so right now what they're doing is what they normally do is search and recon, try to get the best assessment of the situation for searching for victims, assessing needs as far as any kind of structural damage, looking at hazardous materials, dangers. And so once they get a good baseline assessment, they're broken down to specified rescue teams, and they can go in and effect a rescue. Once again, using monitors, make sure that the hazardous environment is safe enough for them to enter, suiting up in level B or C type suits with the proper respiratory protection. When they make entries, they'll use the proper tools, breaking and breaching, either concrete, cutting steel, and if there's a compromised structure, which there is in these scenarios, that they'll start building up emergency building shores. So there's an ample supply of lumber here. They'll start setting up the shoring for entry, rescue personnel to make entry and to bring them out. Now once they bring them out, we have medical personnel to take care of them. In this particular arena here, we have local medical facilities, or we can do an airlift if necessary. We have doctors, we have nurses, we have paramedics. There's so many things to be proud of. In other words, most of the personnel here are not from Alaska, and so doing an exercise end of February where it's way below 0 and 20s gives us a great chance to work with our equipment. Even our own cell phones, they'll die in one hour because of the battery draw. We can analyze our personal protection as far as what apparel works best for us. In other words, can we move in it? We can get a big old pillow type apparel, but we can't move. So things like that. Probably the most significant part of it is a partnership with urban search and rescue members with FEMA, working with DoD assets, Army, Air Force, National Guard, CBRF from National Capital Region, DC. And so all these assets coming together because when we get a larger event, there's no doubt about that we're going to have everyone playing in this arena. We get the large earthquakes, we get the tsunamis, you're talking about the Wasatch Fault, San Andreas, Southern California, all these major events that all of us are going to be coming to play, not just one agency. So this gives us a great chance to learn different skill sets, learn different language, how the military talks, how we talk, certain expectations that we have and other assets may have. And so what happened yesterday was a miscommunication of a lot of different objectives, and so last night and today we huddled up again, and so we had that common operating picture to say, okay, when we say we're going to team up and we're going to do search and recon, and we're going to check out an area for hazardous materials or radiation, this is the equipment you're going to use, this is the proper protection we're going to be suited up in, and these are our expectations. So basically we're all on the same page when we communicate and work together. The team building aspect ensures that we have proper leadership, chain of command of who's running what, who's running whom. The part of communication, not only just face-to-face, but the radio communications, learning what the objectives are for each entity and expectations. and knowing what our capabilities can or cannot exceed. How long can our canines work in this kind of environment? How long can we work in this environment? How long can even the batteries and the radios last? What do we have to do to prepare ourselves down the road? So exercise is the only way to really learn these capabilities. We have tons and tons of documents on paper of how to do it, but until you exercise it, you're really not going to understand or know really what your plan can be. The National Guard here in this state is probably the most critical piece of emergency management as far as any disaster, more than any state that I've ever encountered, because just the distance between the population, the density in certain populations but not everywhere. You're talking about a huge earthquake-prone area, but the earthquake is not going to be the biggest threat. It's going to be the tsunamis coming afterwards with an earthquake, and so the citizens can definitely should be able to feel and sense it that the military bases in and around Alaska are here to support them.